Mark, today at Dungeon Class, I know we were talking about something that means a lot to both you and I, and that's teaching Dungeons and Dragons to children, and what are some tips that you could do, to do that. And you've had a great experience this summer, a very busy summer for both of us, where you have had many opportunities to play with groups and multitudes of children. Multitudes. So we're gonna use that wisdom that you have and talk about some tips, things we may have talked about before, as well as some things you learned this summer. Yeah. And so I want to ask you, what is one thing? I know you've mentioned this one before, but what is one thing that you find that when you're working with children and they're new to the game and you're trying to introduce this game to them, that they instantly gravitate towards or want to shoot for?
Yeah, so anytime you introduce any kind of animals, and so as you're planning ahead, when you're playing, just know that any animals you throw in there could potentially be a pet. And
so werewolves?
Yeah, anything that you put in there, they're going to, because they're in their mind, you think about kids, they love pets. So typically, and the cuter the pet, the better. But I had them want to make a pet out of a lizard kid, or I wanted them, anything that they like. Can we make a pet? And when they try to run off with the egg and
mind flayer,
mind flayer, anything you throw at them, just understand that if they can, they may want to make it a pet. So the question is that something you want to happen, or you go ahead and run with it? So maybe that's not a combat decision. And this is such an important topic. We decided to film this during a hurricane. Just want to point that out.
You may hear it in the background, so we'll see if the gods are happy with us or not.
Yeah, so you can plan for that and just roll with it. And they will actually enjoy it better, really, if you include opportunities for pets.
So that instantly brings the idea of the encounter may not be a battle that you thought as a DM that they were going to fight. Instead, it may be an animal handling check. Like they may in persuasion or something. Like their goal may be a lot different than playing with other people who are used to goal-oriented D&D and they want to get through this combat to get to the treasure or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I know for me, I did several animal handling checks and they were trying to tame a creature, and they loved it. They absolutely love that concept. So not a bad idea to run with that.
Well, then let me ask you, so what if you're coming into that and you're expecting that a little bit, would you lean towards allowing it to be?
Oh, I would. Because, at the end of the day, as a DM, it's about the players. It's what they enjoy. And you really want to tailor your adventure for them. And so I would lean into that and just provide opportunities.
Okay, so again, I'm going back. Okay, they got a werewolf, and you had a werewolf plan to try to scare them. Instead, they thought he was so cute, big ears, and all the hair and everything. And so they tamed him. Yeah. You could still, as a DM, say, okay, I don't want them to have a werewolf at their disposal at all times. Yeah. So I'll have him run away in the first full moon, or let him have him for a little while or whatever. But he's off happy now with his other werewolves or something. So I guess you could still maintain balance, if at all possible,
and you need
in the game. But otherwise, they're walking around with pet everythings, dragons, of course.
You do have to put a stop to it.
Then we'd have to make movies like How to Train Your Dragon, which that was a good idea. No one's thought of that before. So.
That's right. So you got to think like a kid, and one of the things that came up, and you got to be ready for is. When you give your players coin and stuff and gold, they're like, oh, cool, got gold. When you give it to kids, they're like, sweet, I got money. They don't often have control of money in their life. And so when you give them opportunities to shop, they love shopping. So shopping, as it's kind of an annoyance in D&D in general, it
takes time. It takes a lot
so
of time.
much fun. Yeah, they love it, The only thing with shopping, just like in other kind of shopping with other players, is that one person's having the good time while the rest of them necessarily aren't. So you gotta have to weigh that. Maybe have in that store that's supposedly magic potions, it's got a wide variety of things, so everyone can get involved. If you make everything just here's the armor shop and here's the potion shop, then that does have a tendency for one has the fun and the rest all mill around and have no idea what to do. But if they're all having an opportunity to shop, that's a good thing. And pet shops, that'd go over really well too. You can combine the two options. So
that's double trouble there.
Yeah, that is. So they love that. So just be forewarned that shopping, they love shopping.
Maybe you could invent a D&D styled Amazon where giant hawks are delivering their items that they shop at 2 days later. if they pay for Prime, with real gold or whatever. So
I think you might be onto something in D&D in general. Interesting.
You never know. But all right, so
stay tuned for that.
They like pets. They like taming everything they come across, and they definitely like to shop and have the experience of purchasing things and maybe upgrading their characters or their clothing or whatever it may be.
Yes.
But in general, that sounds like a lot of exploration.
Yes, and they love.
And you were telling me that that's maybe their favorite part of the game.
Yes. So
in general.
Yeah. So you know how your adventurers go into a room and they want to check for traps. They want to see if there's any gold or whatever.
Yeah.
They're going to want to open every single thing in there. They're going to want to open every nook and cranny, push every button, all that to see what they all do. And sometimes that can bog down when you're in like, oh my gosh, are they ever going to leave this room? But they love it. So I would often reward them that, maybe that thing that they were going to find down the road, they're really looking, so they really want to find something. Or one finds something and the other one's like, oh, I'm kind of disappointed I didn't find something. Give them something, even if it's like a pocket lint or something, that they did find something for their exploration.
So trinkets, which I know there's a list of trinkets in different places you can find, and that's a cool thing because it's always fun to find a colored feather, that's iridescent blue or something, and it's 6 feet long, and someone's like, I want that. I don't know why I want it. It's not everything is magical, but you never know when they could use it, to tickle the giant's hiney or whatever. I don't know, but we'll
tickling the giant's hiney, they would really love that.
I can imagine that giant, that big feather would work.
Anytime you talk about butts and things like that, and poop and all, that's glorious. They love that too. Well, and we're talking age groups, anywhere from the group I had was anywhere from 6 all the way up to 16, so we had quite a range, but who doesn't like a good poop joke or anything like that? So they actually really enjoy that. So that's something to consider. And one thing I learned this summer, Gonzo, that I really wish I learned it kind of the hard way, is that you kind of need to teach cooperation. That this game it's a collaborative game. It is a game that's best played as the group works together towards something. Yeah,
we're all telling the story together. You're saying that doesn't always happen.
No. What I found, it was kind of an interesting dynamic, because I had some sisters in the group, and I don't know if they had been fighting that day or what.
Well, they're probably watching this video.
Yeah, right. So I don't know what was going on, but they all wanted to do their own thing and then not tell everybody about what they saw. So one would go, and I'd give some important information the group needs to know, they come back, which they wanted to go 3 different directions. We come back, and I'm like, all right, so what do you do? Nothing. Like, they didn't share that information with the group. Pretty soon, they were all doing it, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to share what I learned either. Like, what is going on right now? So, important to teach that up front, and then reinforce that as you go. Keep reminding them that, working together, is this what you guys want to do as a group? And I think the problem is, I'm trying to pondering, like, where does this come from? But really, coming from video games, a lot of video games are very, like Minecraft. One player, you're doing your thing. You're not working together as a group. So, in some ways, Dungeons & Dragons for kids is a team building kind of thing that they're really not necessarily used to doing. So,
that's true.
That's one of the good things about it.
Yeah, and when you say video games, that reminds me that you're right. We do have a lot of multiplayer games.
Sure.
Call of Duty or Fortnite or whatever.
Yeah.
But you can also play by yourself.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, if you're not playing with others, which is probably the exception to the rule, most of the time you are playing by yourself. You're learning to game by yourself, to make your own decision and not worry about what others are doing.
Right.
And this game always works better when you're working together.
Yeah.
In fact, it tends to break down when the rogue at the table is stealing from the barbarian at the table. Generally, you're going to have player versus player combat and whatever, and that's what happens when big kids play. So
yeah, that definitely.
But it usually breaks down. So I like the idea of initially teaching cooperation in our gameplay, and then reiterating that throughout. And as you see people that either aren't as engaged, you're able to pull them in somehow as a dungeon master, or if you see someone that's over engaged, you chill them out a little bit so they can allow others to be, have their say and have their fun as well. So
absolutely.
We know it's a consistent battle when you're dungeon mastering any group to maintain fun at the table, but I know that that's the key.
Absolutely.
And you told me before that throughout the things you learned, you had a great time playing with these kids.
Oh,
Once
absolutely.
again, another fun summer.
It really was. It was a lot of fun, and I learn, as you know, DMs anyway. You learn from your players. I learned so much from playing with them, and what works well, and tinker this and tailor it to them. I would say to anybody, don't be afraid to play with kids. I know we got a lot of comments that people are saying, well, I didn't know I could play with my 8-year-old son, or I didn't think my 9-year-old would like that. I hadn't even thought of that. And I would encourage you to get them playing. You're gonna be surprised how well they take to it, because kids love role playing in general. And you can tailor things down a little bit. You can get the sense pretty quickly what they can handle. I mean, they don't need to have all those stat numbers and all that.
Well, we're working on kind of the same thing, where we can make the game easier for younger people to play.
Yeah.
And we'll do that in a follow-up video, I'm sure. The gods have spoken. I think it's time to end the video, and we'll get to our next one. Tell us in the comments what you thought, some of your ideas in playing with younger people. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and all those good things. And with that,
Class dismissed.